Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Super Dandori Bros Podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Leighton. He's Ryan, and we're talking about Star Wars today.
Again.
Again.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Part 2. Now that we said part 2, it has to actually come out before potentially a part 3 if we get that far. Who's to say?
Yeah. I don't know. Before we get to part 7.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh, there's so many Star Wars games.
There's so many. I mean, yeah. When I went to look at the list of how many Star Wars games, I shouldn't have been shocked, but I was like, there's so many. There's some games I didn't put on the list because I never played, but they're games that I remember coming out that I thought were like the coolest game. There was one that was like a bounty hunter, not Star Wars Bounty Hunter, but it was like very specifically for like PSP and DS. And you had to play this Twilight character with this droid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that in like Kmart.
Yeah.
And I was like, does this look good? Probably not.
It looked great on PSP. And to be fair, it actually looked really good for a DS game. But, I mean, it definitely was one of the games that was pushing the DS to its absolute limits.
Yeah, I remember when that came out, like I was reading about it in Nintendo Power. And they, had said, like, oh, that's a story-rich, area of Star Wars, like, that hasn't been explored yet. Because I think it was, like, between 3 and 4. And, at the time, 3 had just come out, and I was like, but I want to know more about the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. I don't want to know anything. Like, I just love the prequels,
I know. At our generation, the Clone Wars was, like, one of the coolest concepts, and they did do a pretty good job. If you watch the show, there's actually a lot of really interesting content there, and actually, honestly, makes the main movies make way more sense.
I'm sure.
You almost need to watch the Clone Wars show to actually get the context of Episode 3.
Yeah. I do really like Episode 3.
It is good. It is really good.
Yeah.
I love the book,
I actually think another thing that really supports Episode 3 is the novelization.
Yes. Yeah,
it actually does a lot of heavy lifting. I actually read that before I saw the movie.
I try to remember if I read it before or after. I know I read it and I loved that book, and I think it's really does a much better job of explaining the story than the movie. Even though I love the movie, but like if you really want to get the inside, the inside the head of the characters kind of thing, and like really know what's going on. And there's a lot more story added to it. There's a lot of other undercover conspiracy stuff that made it really interesting. So I wish I had that book now. I need to go just buy it and read it again.
I probably have it. I need to look.
Yeah. So Star Wars games.
Yeah, Star Wars. Yeah, games, not reading. We don't like to read on this channel.
Yeah, right. Ugh, reading. Ew. No, we wanted to start this off. I think this is going to cover a good chunk of the podcast. This could literally be the whole podcast, but we're going to start here. It's a franchise that Ryan and I both really, really like, and and they've come out with how many now? Like at least 4.
Yeah,
Battlefront.
At least 4. Yeah, Battlefront.
They had Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2.
I think there's actually like, I'm gonna get killed. It's like a PSP or like it's like a mobile version as well, and that actually contains some of the content that was going to be in Battlefront 3 or something like that. I remember seeing a video about it briefly.
I forgot there was a PSP version. There's actually I think there was actually a DS game for Star Wars Battlefront.
Really?
It was very different. It was like, I think like a top-down kind of like GTA style like game. But yeah, they had, I forgot about that. Yeah, so that's true. There's more. But like, let's be real. Let's talk about the ones that people actually care about. The ones we actually played.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
I'm going to come clean here, and this is going to be so funny, but I only played Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Really?
I never played either of the first ones for either, even the remake. I don't even know what you call it, a remake or a reboot. I only played the Star Wars Battlefront 2 on probably was Xbox at a friend's house, and I have it for PC. And then Star Wars Battlefront 2, I played the new version on PC.
So I've played all 4 to some extent. I played this. I don't think you and I have ever talked about this. All the years we've known each other, I don't think we've ever discussed this. So, a friend of mine that you're sort of acquainted with, had Battlefront like right when it came out on his Xbox, and I went over to his house and played it for like a few hours. I'm like, this is great. Like when I was first told about it, it's like, oh yeah, you play as like random soldiers or whatever. I'm like, this sounds dumb. Like, why would you ever want to play this? Like, I want to play as a Jedi, you know? And then I tried it. I'm like, oh, this is great. And, you know, we just had a blast playing it. So I went and like found it while I was actually on vacation with my parents. We just like went to like some random game place, and it was in like San Francisco, because that's where we were vacationing at the time. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to pick this up. So I literally just stared at the case like until we got back, installed it on my parents' computer, and for whatever reason, I still don't understand to this day, it had no sound. So I played that game for hours and hours and hours with absolutely no sound. So I don't know any of the sounds for Battlefront 1, but I know like all the levels and stuff, and I would make my own sounds.
Oh my gosh.
Because it was really dumb without sounds, right? And so I made my own. But yeah, like, so I played the crap out of that, and then, you know, obviously played Battlefront 2, the OG. You know, it's probably the best one in my opinion. And then I had like way back when the Origin service with like I had it for like a couple months. I'm like, oh, let's try Battlefront 1. So I played the new Battlefront 1. It was fine. I didn't like it too much. And then I picked up the newer Battlefront 2 years later on PS4 for really cheap. It was like $5 or something on the shop, and I just picked it up, and that I've probably sunk. It's the second most hours into, but it's the most recent one I've played. So that's sort of my history of Battlefront.
So even if you've played all of them, you have to agree the sequel ones are always the better ones.
Yes, with certain key exceptions. There are certain things that I actually think that the OG Battlefront 1 does best, and it's all just for the goofiness.
Really?
And so at some point I'll talk about those. But yes, I agree with you. In general, Battlefront 2, both of them are better than their corresponding Battlefront.
Well, what's something that you would say was better about Battlefront 1 then? Because I've only heard good things, like everything was just better in Battlefront 2 because of space fights, the units and the combat and the maps. So
yeah, so there were a few things I like better about Battlefront 1. Like the OG Battlefront 1. One of those is that the space ships were actually available on pretty much every map. Not every map, but a lot of them. And so you could actually have air battles above like the ground battle, or you can just like fly down and like help clear, like if you had a cluster of enemies, you could just help clear an area to give your units like room to advance. So I did sort of like that dynamic, because that wasn't really present for the most part in the sequel. Like you had the Hoth speeders, obviously, which did sort of operate like the exact same way as the starfighters. And then the Republic gunship, I think, that wasn't available on a land mission. I think it really was just the Hoth snow speeders in Battlefront 2 for the land missions. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't think any of the other fighters were, because I know the Republic gunships were a transport ship in Battlefront 2 that you used to get, if you're trying to move a bunch of units over to infiltrate.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, what you could also do is, as your health slowly decreased in your ship, you could bail out at the last second and like crash it into enemy territory and just like knock a bunch of units around, and it would give you a few seconds to sort of recover and take out a few guys, and you actually could like get back behind enemy lines super easily with it. So that always was actually super fun. I had a really good time with that. So that was only like really possible in Battlefront 1, with the exception of the Battle of Hoth in Battlefront 2. You could do it there. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that I thought was funnier, not necessarily better, but funnier, was the way that they treated Jedi and Sith in Battlefront 1. So essentially, there was like Luke and Vader, and then there was, I think, Windu and Dooku. And I think that those were just the four characters, and you could play with them always on or always off, and they would just be an NPC wandering around, and they would just, they'd see an enemy, and they'd just go whack it. and then they just move on to the next enemy and whack it. And they were invincible, with the exception of falling, like fall damage. So you could like knock them off a platform and they would despawn for some time. So my favorite thing was playing as demolitions and start like baiting them around, like with Scooby snacks essentially, into mines and blowing them off the platform just to give myself an edge. And that was always fun to watch.
Nice.
Those were the things about Battlefront 1 that I thought were better. Extremely niche. Nobody did these but me.
Well, we don't know.
Guaranteed.
Someone in the comments let us know. But,
Yeah.
No, that's funny because I always just assumed it was very similar, just more and better. But it's interesting that there's things that were actually uniquely different with the first game.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, absolutely.
But let's talk about the second game, though. I mean,
that's where we're gonna spend most of our time.
The second game is just, I spent so many hours in that game, both like when I was younger and even when I was older. I got it for PC in some pack, and I was just like, I'm gonna play this, even though I had to like do a lot of workarounds to get it to work because it's an old PC game. But and now they have the remake. I haven't played the remake it's the remake of the old Battlefront 2. It had a horrible launch. I heard it's gotten better, but I don't know. But that was but anyway, point is, the old game though, I played the heck out of that. My favorite mode was definitely like the hero mode. It was just everybody going on, and usually it was like on Tatooine.
Mos
Eisley, just running around. You just go around a corner and it'd be like Yoda going against Boba Fett, and just crazy nonsense.
That was always like, that was the mode that I wanted to play the most when I first started playing the game. It's actually the one I played the least towards the end.
Yeah.
It was like the Starfighter mode and the hero mode I played like a crap ton of, but then towards the end I actually did just enjoy the like standard conquest. Oh, there's another one that I think was, no, never mind. It wasn't. It was the Galactic Conquest mode in Battlefront 2 is excellent. Like where you have the map and you choose your targets. That actually is like an extremely good mode. I know that there was like a difference with the Battlefront 1, but I think Battlefront 2 is the one with the better mode. It's been so long, man.
There's all the different upgrade things you could do to kind of give yourself a boost in those.
Yep.
And I remember doing that and trying to like min-max that as much as I could. When I went to certain worlds, I kind of knew like the map, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna probably want this one because of the vehicles there. I want this because I suck at this map, so I need more units, or something like that. But I just love the strategy you had there. I used to play the crap out of that. I really like the campaign too.
Yes, the campaign is excellent.
It's actually really good. Even though it's just more really of the same, in a sense of like it's still the same gameplay for the most part, but like the story and like the whole, like some of the voice lines are like still quoted by people online today. There's just like it was kind of really deep and behind the scenes for like I don't know, like the whole transition from the Republic to the Empire.
Yeah, I think my favorite map in the campaign, I'm pretty sure this is in that campaign, but correct me if I'm wrong, is just because of the story of it, I thought it was really cool, is when the 501st went to confront the new clones being grown in Camino. So it was just clones versus clones.
Yeah. I remember the Camino.
Like
I do distinctly remember that. I actually thought you were going to mention that because that was definitely a pivotal point where you're actually going there to basically stop the clones from, like, you're basically like, we're shutting this down.
Yeah, it was actually like a super cool mission.
Yeah.
Like that was great. I did think it was kind of weird. I think it ended with, and I'm not like a Star Wars lore buff. I don't know. Like I know that it's supposed to follow the 501st, which I think is a really cool idea. But like the last one, like I think the last mission is the Battle of Hoth. In that campaign, which always seemed weird to me because I just would have assumed that you would have played through Endor. But I think the last one is Battle of Hoth, and maybe that is the last battle that the 501st actually fought in the lore, but I honestly don't know.
I don't know, and I wonder if because technically you're supposed to lose on Endor, so
yeah, that's true.
Hoth you win, so there's a little bit of that, but no, it was super fun, and I need to go back and play it again if I can get my computer to run it, but.
Yeah.
Conquest multiplayer used to play. Most of my multiplayer experience wasn't on PC. It was back on the console. Again, 4-player split screen, Xbox. And again, it was usually the hero one because it was the easiest one to split screen. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I want to specifically transition to one thing that I think Battlefront 2 has done better than most games, actually, in my personal opinion. I kind of want to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
Are essentially the upgrades. So essentially, like, by doing well with a weapon, you are rewarded with, a better weapon, for essentially the remainder of the battle, I think, or at least the characters. Like, I think it is the battle.
Is this
and
for
then, like,
the
slowly,
new one or the old one?
The old one. Like, if you got like a bunch of kills with the rifle, then you could get the elite rifle, which was like burst fire and did like way more damage. And you if you got the same medal like so many times, I think if you got it like 64 times, then you just like unlocked it permanently.
Oh, I must have sucked at the game because I don't remember this.
Yeah. Like, pretty much all the weapons had like upgrades. It's actually really fun. Like, my brother and I would farm them, and like there was one that if you like did really well with a sniper rifle, you got one that essentially like would one tap people, but it was like a beam, and so it would like fire continuously for a very short window, but if you like swept with it, then you could actually take out like multiple units. It was super cool. So you should definitely go back and play it and try that.
Huh. Yeah, I just remember getting more advanced units. I don't remember upgrading the gun. That's interesting.
Yeah, but and that's sort of what I wanted to talk about is, and unfortunately, you never experienced it, but it's like, I thought that was really cool that it wasn't just like, you unlock it once and you're done. It was more like, okay, you have to perform the feat like 4 times over 4 separate missions, and then you get to try the gun for the first time. And then essentially there were certain tiers of how many medals that you collected, where the requirements to get it slowly decreased, so it rewarded consistently good gameplay with better weapons, but then also just made it easier to get them over time. So it was just like, it felt like a reward, and I felt that was actually really well balanced. 64 might be a lot, but I love the idea behind it. Because in a lot of games it's like you unlock it once you're done, and at the time as a kid it was like really frustrating because it's like, oh, I just want to play with a good gun. But like, thinking about it now from a game design standpoint, I actually really like that feature. So maybe at some point you can play it and we could talk about it, because I'd be curious what your input is. But that is one thing I specifically wanted to mention because I thought it was actually kind of a standout feature.
Well, now that I know that, I definitely need to go back, because I think I must not have played it enough to get to that point. Because again, like, most of my experience with the game was either playing it with friends who owned it, so I never put enough hours into it. And then when I had it for myself on PC, it was at the point where I wasn't playing with other people. I was just kind of going through the campaign and playing some conquest. So I probably didn't play enough to get to that point. So, but that's kind of cool. I didn't know that. So, I mean, the game just is a gift that keeps on giving, apparently, because it just there's more and more reasons to love it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say are some of your favorite maps, like, just to play multiplayer?
Gosh, it kind of depends. Like, if I was to think of maps that I had like some of my favorite memories on, like, I dove with Kashyyyk. I had a ton of fun with the sniper on that. I used to just destroy with that, just find a good vantage point and just snipe just hundreds of guys. But as far as like, oh man, like, obviously Mos Eisley was fun just for like close quarters fun. Camino's decent, though it can be a little tricky when, like, depending upon who has the high ground. I'm trying to think of some of the other.
Mustafar I thought was really cool.
Mustafar's good, actually. That's a really good one.
A lot of close quarters combat. Like, droidicas in particular got really annoying because they would essentially just block up the hallway at times.
Yeah, but it was kind of fun because there was a lot of different avenues you could take. It was a very dynamic map. Trying to think of other ones. I don't feel like I liked Naboo very much. I felt like that one was just very confusing to get around.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm like literally trying to rack my head around all. There's so many maps. I mean, Hoth is fun, but it's like, it is super big, so it's definitely the more epic. Like, you want to get in a speeder, but if you're just on the ground, it can kind of get a little bit dry.
Yeah, the Tantive 4 was pretty cool. Like the Rebel Blockade Runner from the beginning of Star Wars
Oh
Episode 4,
yeah,
like
that one's
Princess
fun.
Leia's ship.
I like that one.
That's a really cool map. The Death Star was a really cool map.
Oh, Yavin
Um,
4 is pretty fun, I think.
yeah, I really liked Yavin. Um, Hoth is always a winner.
It is,
Um,
but that's definitely one where you want to have like a full lobby.
yes,
It's
definitely.
because you spend a lot of I spent a lot of time just running to get to where the action was sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I always played as the snow speeder. I never, or like the rebels. I never played as the Empire. Now I kind of want to go back and like actually try to get to the shield as the Empire, and
it's fun.
like I'm sure it
I
is,
think the
but
Empire's
I
actually
never
the more
actually
fun
did
side
it. I'm sure it is.
because you get to use the AT-ATs. So that was like one of my
And
favorite
stomp
parts.
everything.
They're one of my favorite
Yeah,
vehicles in Star Wars in general. I don't know why. They're not really practical at all, but there's something about them that's just so menacing and cool because they just got so much firepower and just they're so. I mean, other than the cables, like they're just incredibly strong. I think they did a
absolutely,
good job making them feel like really menacing weapons in Empire Strikes Back.
absolutely. And
Uh,
that is the best Star
oh,
Wars movie.
the
But
Jedi Temple. That's definitely one of my favorite maps.
that one's excellent. I think the worst part about the Jedi Temple though is the story mission where you have to protect the like archives or whatever.
Oh yeah, I'm just thinking from a multiplayer standpoint though. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just the
oh,
courtyard is
multiplayer is
just
phenomenal.
chaos.
Yeah. Is that also one I can't remember. I don't think so, but is that one that is also compatible with Hero Battle?
I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you. I want to say it is, but I could be totally wrong.
I'm probably wrong about that, but for some reason I feel like it is.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Yeah, this I'm probably missing some maps. I know there's a Death Star is another one. Um, God, what else is there? And then there's all the. I mean, space maps are all the same. But
Yeah, largely with the exception of the episode 3 space battle, which has its own custom map, which is the one from like the story.
oh yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
the and that like I kind of wish they were all like that cool. You know what I mean?
Well, so
Um,
I feel like that's a good way to transition. What are your thoughts on the space battles in that game?
so there are some things I really like about them and some things that I don't. So I think that depending on which ship you're playing as, they can be super fun to just like dogfight in. The thing that I don't particularly like about them, so I love the idea of going after different targets on the ship, but I didn't like how it was just essentially like you got points toward victory for doing it. I kind of wish that it would have had more tangible effects on like the battle itself. So like for example, like maybe if you like maybe there would have been ways like, and granted huge hardware limitation for this, but like if you could imagine multiple hangars
Mm-hmm.
or whatever on a ship, and like being able to take out the shields allows you to like damage one of the hangars or something like that, so then like temporarily you couldn't, like the enemy had fewer reinforcements, or like the automated turrets would normally actually be really good, but as soon as you take out their targeting system, then like that does net you a huge advantage. Like things that were more interesting than just here's a bunch of points. I think I would in nowadays really like that. At the time I was like I love them, but I was like a kid, right?
Oh yeah, I
So
mean, and at the time they were pretty good for consoles. It wasn't like
yeah.
they were serviceable, and it was still a big deal for them to be there. Like I remember thinking they were really great back then, but yeah, now I go back and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of very repetitive. Like if you want to,
Yeah.
you kind of have two different like strategies in my opinion. You either get in a ship, usually a bomber, and you have to go after all the points on the ships because it's the only
Mhm.
ship that's actually effective, or you're like a what's the class? It's not a pilot, but it's a different one that can have like portable explosives.
Yeah, like it's essentially a saboteur.
Yeah,
Like
and
they go in
you
and
just fly over there as fast as you can, and you just start blowing stuff up from the inside.
yeah,
Which was kind of
it, it,
I had more fun doing that than just shooting targets on the ships. But
I agree. What I kind of wish that they would do, like if we got another shot at this, what I would love is, so do you remember how you could fly like one of the like it would essentially be like the Republic gunship, for example,
Hmm.
and you would just fly it into the enemy hangar, and it would just serve as a mobile like respawn point.
Yeah, yeah.
What I wish that they had done instead, and granted, again, hardware limitations at the time, so like you couldn't have done it at the time. What you could do now, which would be really cool, is if it actually just served as a finite transport of like, yep, you can get like 8 to 10 players into one ship or something. One guy flies it over there, and drops them off, and then just bails out and goes and gets more people, and like pilots can actually serve like as, yeah, let's like get people inside the ship and take things out from the inside, and then you could have an interesting dynamic where you actually make repairing parts of the ship, of your own ship, actually viable, because it took forever in baseline Battlefront 2. But if you did have this sort of tug of war on the inside of the ship as well as on the outside of the ship, that could make for like some really interesting combat.
Oh yeah. I mean, that could be its own
And
game.
exactly, like it could be like, you could just package that as just it's essentially like, if you had like really good flight mechanics, not necessarily on the level of like Squadrons or Rogue Squadron or something like that, but like really good flight, like even the Battlefront 2, like the newer version, flight space battles, those are pretty good. Like do that, but then you also just, at the same time, it's sort of like their idea with like, for Battlefront 3, which was, a ground fight and a space fight, but you essentially have a space fight and like an indoor fight. You know what I mean? Like a ship interior. Like you could do some really cool stuff with that from a gameplay standpoint. Like imagine being able to, from the bridge, like lock down certain doors
Hmm.
to slow down enemy progress or something like
That'd
that.
be super cool. I mean, just basically turn it into a Star Wars Sea of Thieves kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but yeah,
Uh,
I love that idea. I think I've been wanting that for a long time, just where you have a crew of people and everyone has a role and you're all trying to basically keep this ship afloat while you're, in combat.
mhm.
And, yeah, some of it, it might be, depending on the type of person you are, it might be more fun than others. But I just love the idea of like, just, I don't know, like 8 to 10 people all just working together online, just trying to like keep either a Star Destroyer going. So you're like, someone's at the helm, someone's managing the gun, someone's engineering, someone's managing the reactor, someone's literally ordering, like, is a pilot and just trying to keep, there's out there trying to defend against, I don't know, like it's just so many things you could go with. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, obviously Battlefront 2 couldn't do that time, and it did a great job with what it had.
Absolutely. And sort of what I would envision for that is like a more interesting version of a battle royale, where it's not just like 100 people going at it. It's like, and I know that battle royales can have teams of 50 and 50. Like I get that, but it's like you actually have very specific objectives and are working together in like one fixed location, essentially. You know what I mean? And with that kind of player count, you could do some pretty cool stuff, I think.
Hmm.
Who knows? Maybe it devolves into utter madness and it actually doesn't work.
Who knows?
But it would be kind of interesting to find out.
It'd be nice to see the Battlefront series break into the 3 category.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's always
No,
had Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2. All right, let's start over. Battlefront 1, Battlefront 2, and then they just stop. It's like, are we gonna do this cycle? Is 3 the forbidden number?
yeah. It'd be hilarious is if Valve made Battlefront 3. It's like the one 3 that they actually make. They're just like, yep, we're gonna contract for Battlefront 3.
That would be hilarious.
It would be super funny.
But yeah, no, it's. I just sorry, I'm just thinking like where Battlefront 2 though, and the original, right? I'm trying to think of anything else we
Mhm.
missed. Is there anything like that was kind of unique to that before we move on? Like,
Yeah, I mean there were sort of like the creature fights, like the hunt or mode. I don't know if you ever played
I
that,
play a
where you
little
could
bit
like
of
play
that.
as the Ewoks and stuff. That was kind of cool. Memorable things from Battlefront 2, on the Xbox version. Han Solo, once he switched weapons, could not switch back, so he was just stuck with a fusion cutter the entire time.
Oh my God.
So that was an honorable mention. I don't know if anybody else experienced that, but that was very famous in my circle of friends at the time. Uh, I'm trying to, like, I don't know, like it was a great game. I had a lot of fun with it. I feel like it was kind of buggy. There was one space battle where like there just was no collision on the back of one of the Star Destroyers. So you could actually just fly inside the ship and just shoot all of the interior components.
Oh my gosh.
As just like a Jedi Interceptor or like an Arc 170 or something like that. You could just take everything out if you really wanted to. So that was pretty good. The cheat codes were good. You could make yourself invincible if you wanted to, so you could just like fly your ship inside of the enemy like respawn area and then just like crash into everything. That was pretty good.
Back when games were just about having fun and still being silly, they weren't trying to be a simulation of like actual like starfighter physics. It's like, nope, I drive into this, see what happened.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and those are my honorable mentions.
Yeah, I'm blanking on so much. I feel like there's so many. My memories are mostly just very specific of like just having good rounds. I don't know, just again like Keshik with the sniper, or like just yeah. I'm blanking.
Yeah, I'm looking up a list of Battlefront 2 maps to see if there's anything in particular that we like really should mention.
Geonosis was okay. That was pretty fun. I was just thinking of that because that was kind of a memorable one for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Geonosis was good. Megiddo. We didn't talk about Megiddo.
Oh yeah,
that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. It was kind of fun to play maps that we saw in episode 3.
Yeah, definitely. Like Utapau, that was pretty cool.
Actually, yeah, Utapau is actually a really good map.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's not like from a design. I don't know. For me, like I loved playing that map. It was very clean, very like bright, so you could kind of see most of everything. Megiddo is the one. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that the one with all the weird colored foliage?
No, that's Felucia.
That's the one.
Megiddo is the like gray city.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that one was kind of interesting.
That one was pretty decent.
Felucia was good. There was Dagobah. I thought Dagobah was actually the worst map.
It is,
in my opinion. It's actually a really bad map. Like I like what they were trying to go for with it, but I just think it like the visual, and I think that is the point, is that the visualization was supposed to be so poor.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, just like already like at the time, obviously state of the art graphics, but especially by today's standards, like does not look particularly great. It's like,
yeah,
do we really need this? Kind of an interesting idea, but I don't know.
Is there a Bespin map?
There is in the DLC.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, I don't remember it.
And it's brought back from the Battlefront 1, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm literally going through like Star Wars movies and literally trying to remember, like, planets. Coruscant's just the Jedi Temple. There's no other Coruscant map as far as I'm aware.
No, there's not. One honorable mention about Battlefront 1 specifically. My favorite gameplay quirk is that for the rebels, all of the snipers were women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were, I think, the only female model. And the pilots were given like essentially a restock ability where they could just drop ammo and health. And so oftentimes you'd find the snipers sort of like crouched, like the NPC snipers crouched, and then there would always be a pilot sitting behind them staring at her butt, dropping ammo. It was that was the best gameplay quirk. I did want to make sure I mentioned that because I laughed at that more times than really was deserved, but it was always funny.
Good times.
Yeah.
Well, let's I don't know, I don't want to jump straight. That's probably our favorite game out of all the 4 that we've to talk about. And I didn't play the first game of the reboot, so I'm curious. I'd love to hear more from you, like what your thoughts are on that game, because I know it was a big deal being brought back, and it was visually stunning, and it was kind of this big kind of reboot.
Yeah, so what I played of it, which means that I'm essentially not qualified to talk about it, was sort of like the challenge mode, where you would just spawn in like a fixed arena and you would just shoot, enemies and try to survive as long as possible. I didn't play that much of the multiplayer because I was never very good at it. And so I was trying to get better at the game because the gameplay was very different than, from the original Battlefront. So I'm like, okay, I just need to get better at this game. I was using mouse and keyboard, which I rarely ever play any shooters. And so, like, I was trying to get good at it. And essentially, I sort of, like, played enough of it to the point where I was like, I don't necessarily know if I want to go back. But then on top of it, my trial ended, or not in the trial, but the subscription ended. And so I didn't have access to it anymore. So that's essentially the extent of Battlefront 2015. Mm-hmm. It was a really, I'd say, like, it was a really good looking game. For the time, it was. I remember it was super hype when it was announced that there was a new one. Mm-hmm. I remember that. Like I was freaking out about it. I thought it was amazing. And then to, like, not really play that much of it, I was like, I don't know. Like, it does feel kind of weird, but I don't know. I think as a stepping stone to what would eventually become the Battlefront 2, what was that, 2018?
Was it 2018? Yeah, I think it was.
No, 2017 is Battlefront 2 2017.
Only 2 years later. Wow.
Yeah. Now, granted, this is, like, really, you do need to call it Battlefront 2 2018 because the game is essentially, like, totally remade, right? Or at least the dynamics of progression were completely changed. So it almost felt like a totally different game.
Yeah, I mean, it was the launch of that game was atrocious. I mean, like, I have a lot of good. I like the game now. It's like they fixed everything, but, like, when that game came out, I remember just absolutely everyone dunking on it. The servers were terrible. The progression was terrible. It was a pay to win nightmare.
Yeah, and now it's. I think if you've never played a Battlefront game, I think this is the one to start with. Truly.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I think it's that good. And there's so much to do. I ended up platinuming it on PlayStation. And I just, like, played the crap out of it. I never played that much of, like, online multiplayer because, again, I'm not very good and I was going for, like, all the trophies. So I did a lot of the, like, just the co-op modes where you would just play with other people against NPCs. And even that was fun. Like, I had a great time with that. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I think Battlefront 2 2017 is actually, like, and that's actually not a very controversial opinion, but it's an extremely good game.
Mm-hmm. It is. Yeah, you have to clarify that now it is. Some people.
Yeah, exactly. Now it is not release version, but now it is.
Yeah, and it seems to be a lot of games came out around that time that didn't launch very good, but now are considered great games. Like No Man's Sky came out in 2016.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's and I was on board for most of that too, which is kind of cool to see. Like, Battlefront 2, I sort of jumped on board after all the changes had been made. I, like, was browsing at work one day, just, like, on the computer because I had nothing to do, and I came across, I think, Droideka, like, footage because I think they had just released the Droideka or something in an update. I might be wrong about that, but and I remember seeing, I'm like, oh, this actually looks, like, really good, like, really well designed. And so I started looking into it and I'm like, oh wow, like, looks like they actually fixed this. And so it was on sale for $5 and I picked it up, and yeah, I'm very glad I did. I had a blast with it. It's probably one of the better Star Wars games I've played in recent years, for sure.
It feels definitely like a progressed version of the game we played, like, of Battlefront 2. Like, it's definitely a more modern version. It's not the same, and that's okay. Like, if I want to go play the old game, I can still go back and play the old game and have fun. But I did like the way, like, just the character selection, the way the weapons felt, being able to sprint. It was sprint. Was there? I don't remember. I don't think there was sprinting in the. Oh, there was sprinting, wasn't there?
There was sprint because it would use the stamina.
That's right. I don't know, but I just remember.
There was, like, a Dark Souls dodge roll too. Now that I think
I probably never used that.
Yeah.
But definitely the most striking thing about the game was the visuals and the sound design. Voice acting
Yeah.
terrible, but the actual the visuals were incredible. I mean, they're using this like, and I don't know why they don't do this still, or maybe they do, but I just felt like that game is held up so well visually. Like it still looks amazing today because they used.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna butcher the name of this, but it's like photogrammetry, I believe, where they basically took photos of the actual props, like the official props, and I went to real environments, like to the place they actually filmed some of these, like movies, and took pictures, and that's like what most of the texture work is. So everything just looks really, really good. If you play this on a high-end PC and you have a high-end graphics card, you can just bump it up the resolution and everything to max, and the game just looks incredible. Like, sure, there's some stuff they could do better now with like ray tracing and whatnot, but it still looks. I'd still play it. It still looks phenomenal. The sound and the particle effects, the animation they did a really good job with the animation. I don't know how they did it, but everyone just moves like you think they would. When they get shot, they fall naturally.
Yeah.
Like it just felt like you were playing a Star Wars movie. It was the closest thing I think I'd ever seen to something that felt like you were playing an actual Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I guess in some ways, like, we never really would need a Battlefront 3 after this. I mean, in some ways, it'd be kind of nice to get one because I feel there are modifications you could make. But this really is, like, once it was fully updated, like, ultimately realized, like, there's not much more I personally would add. And maybe someone could come up with something, but,
I don't know. It's tough. Yeah, you're right. It's like, how do you, other than just updating it even more visually, like what do you do? Like do you add more players? Do you make the scope just that much bigger? Maybe you do add more of those things we talked about where it's like a little bit more dynamic. We have different people in different roles really doing different things that affect the whole course of the game, right? You have commanders who are literally like helping direct people where to go. You have people in ships that are actually like managing resources and repairs and energy costs of like how much energy do you put to the shields, how much energy do you put to weapons or to thrusters. You do actual like positioning of your Star Destroyer to get like better tactical advantage. Like you just go full bore, like just, which kind of removes the arcadey fun of it. So I guess that would kind of make it its own type of game. I think what makes Battlefront games fun is that they are kind of at the end of the day very arcadey. They're not meant to be taken too seriously. Like maybe that's just me, but I just feel like, especially that's what made Battlefront 2 the OG kind of fun, is it's just very silly arcadey fun. It's not like it's trying to replicate like the physics and the everything. It's like it's super glitchy and janky and funny. But
oh yeah,
especially when you play as Yoda. That was like I thought the funniest thing, playing as Yoda back.
Oh gosh, I hated fighting Yoda.
Oh, he's terrible to fight.
For precisely the same reason why everyone enjoyed playing as him.
It was so funny. I mean, I still remember when I saw the Clone Wars movie in theaters, and as soon as Yoda started fighting, the whole theater was laughing. It was just the funniest thing, seeing Yoda jumping around fighting. And it's the same thing in a video game. I see a little gremlin running up with a lightsaber and just starts flipping around, and it just cracks me up. It's just one of my favorite parts of Star Wars. It's
so campy. I love it.
It is. That's what makes it great. Is it when you don't take it too seriously and just enjoy it for what it is. But yeah, the new, sorry, I'm just getting sidetracked. The new Battlefront 2 is fun. It's funny that it's resurged in popularity. Like it just had a major, like I think it's hit the highest numbers it's ever hit now after being out for 8 years.
Yeah, it's so crazy that we're almost a decade in and suddenly it's like popular again. I don't know if people are just like craving like good Star Wars content, or if like the popularity of Andor was particularly helpful.
There was a mixture of that. I think Andor was a big push. There might have been some other stuff going on, but I think also, there's nothing to take its place. There's no other Star Wars game. If you're looking for a really great multiplayer Star Wars game that just makes you feel like you're in the movies, it's the only game that still exists. There's nothing that's replaced it. There's some single player games that have come out that are pretty fun. But it's still the top dog. There's no other really fun. Like Squadrons is good if you just want like just Starfighter stuff, and that's its own animal too. Again, Battlefront 2 is more arcadey. You can just jump in, you can die a bunch and be goofy in that game and do crazy dumb things and just have a fun time. So,
absolutely. I kind of want to go back and play this.
I do too. I need to re-download it and play it. Problem is, okay, downside to this game, no crossplay.
Yeah, that was in a time really before crossplay was like even considered the standard in my opinion.
Yeah, I wish they could fix that though, because yeah, you have it on PS4, I have it on PC, so we can't even play together.
Yeah, if it went on sale on PC, I would consider picking it up. I guess
It has to be at least $5, can't be more.
Exactly.
Yeah, with its popularity right now, they're probably not putting it on sale, but
Probably not.
Yeah, no.
Anyway,
it is a fun game. It's actually kind of crazy. My laptops. I mean, granted, the game came out would we say 2017?
Yeah.
And I have a laptop from 2019, so yeah, it should be able to play that game. But at the same time, like the game looks just so stinking good on my old laptop. Like it's just one of those games I can go back and still play and have fun because my laptop can still run it. And yet it feels like some people you go back and play it and people think this is a modern like PS5 level game. Like it could come out today and still be people would probably look at it and be like, "Oh yeah, that's like a PS5 game."
Yeah, like theoretically they could even just like re-release it and claim it's remastered and people would probably believe it.
Well, they could. I mean, they have the core game. Why not just re-release it and say, "Hey, we've added ray tracing and a few other things." I just think like also the game ran on PS4. Switch 2 just came out. It can run PS4 games. Re-release it on the Switch 2.
Yeah, and update everything with crossplay. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Like seriously, I'd get it again on Switch 2. I'm loving my Switch 2. Play everything.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. So I do have one thing that I do want to ask about this. Did you play much of the campaign?
I beat the whole campaign.
Okay. What did you think of the campaign?
I liked it.
We may disagree on this. Okay, I actually liked it too. I actually thought it was one of the few things that like the Disney era of Star Wars produced that I actually enjoyed.
Yeah.
There were some parts, especially towards the end, that I didn't like as much, but I did like the idea of playing essentially as part of the Empire that survived episode 6 and they lost.
Yeah.
And I actually thought that was a really, really cool perspective to play as for once.
It was also cool to see what they did after. It wasn't like they just went down, like they had the whole Operation Cinder, and it was like this whole turning point for ethics, right?
Yeah.
And you're on the planet that's about to get incinerated, and you're seeing all the people that were loyal, and it's like, and then like I don't know, there's just a lot of parts. I can't remember like a lot of specific. I know my favorite parts was where, oh man, you go to that cave. I really felt bad. I don't remember his name, but you see Luke Skywalker there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that part of the mission? Do you remember like?
No, I think so. Yeah.
Unless that was DLC, I don't know, but like.
No. I think that was part of the game.
Yeah, and then I think they did. What did they do? They had that battle that I think you see at the beginning of episode 7 take place. It's like you're actually fighting on, and I forget the name of the planet because I try to forget those movies, but. But it has like where all the starfighter, why there's all the debris on the planet at the beginning of episode 7 with Rey.
Yeah, it's Jakku.
Jakku, thank you. That like you do that fight and it's like it was kind of epic. Some of the things I don't know, like it was. I thought it was pretty fun. I thought the story was great. I thought the gameplay was fun. It's not like crazy hard. It was definitely designed to be just a fun experience. But yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I'd play it again. I wish it was co-op.
Yeah, that would have been great if it was co-op. Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised with it. I thought I was not going to like it, but that was also at a time where I had a little bit more patience for Star Wars in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like exactly, like it was. I think I played it around 2019 because I, just based on where I was living at the time. That's probably where I would have, when I would have played it. And if that's the case, I'm trying to remember. Force Awakens came out, 2017? When did Force Awakens come out?
Oh, that's 2015.
It was 2015. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, 2019 is when I think Rise of Skywalker came out.
Ugh. Oh gosh, never mind. Okay. I probably didn't have that much patience for Star Wars at the time. I do remember that. I really liked Rogue One. And so I'd probably rewatched it like around then with Katie or something because I remember like seeing especially Act 3, which I think is definitely the strongest act of that movie. And just thinking like, yeah, like they actually did a really good job capturing the essence of like both the movie, like essentially they found a way to make that act of the movie fit really well with how Battlefront 2 felt at times.
Mm-hmm. Wait,
I
wasn't there
don't.
a level? Wait, can you play that fight
Yeah, it's Scarif. Yeah,
in Battlefront 2, right? So
yeah, I
good.
think so. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, that
Um,
was super cool.
yeah, like, and that's the thing is, I feel like there were some really good ideas, and some very bad ideas, but there were some very good ideas with how they wanted to approach integrating like the different mediums of Star Wars at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Where they're like, yeah, there is this like battle that happened. Let's let them play that. Like, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a really cool idea.
That's
Like,
what we
if I
want.
were, yeah, and it's like, everyone sort of has a different reason for, or sometimes it's everyone's saying the same reason for why everything sort of fell apart. I don't think that all the ideas were bad. I think the execution was terrible for a lot of it. I think the game side ended up actually being really, for the most part, really good. It's mostly the movies that fell to crap. Though, obviously, with the most recent example of Star Wars Outlaws, not even the video games get a pass anymore. It was just, like, so terrible.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like definitely the amount and I don't know. I guess to me, it just didn't feel like there was a lot of Star Wars games coming out like that were that
No,
interesting. I
it
think
was.
there was the Battlefront games. There was the Jedi Survivor. Then eventually,
Fallen
no, it's not Survivor.
Order,
So Jedi Fallen Order.
Squadrons.
Then Survivor came out way later. But like,
Yeah.
what
There's
else?
Squadrons, which Squadrons had a really cool campaign.
That was pretty good. That was actually not bad. But yeah, it just wasn't a lot. Like I
No,
felt like
but
Star Wars
like
games would
what?
come. Like every system had like their own version of a Star Wars game coming out. There was just so many games coming out back then. It felt like a multiple a year. And granted, I know that they weren't all
Yeah,
high quality and caliber, but like it just felt like there was just more Star Wars coming out then. Whereas now it just feels like everything's just very, it's just not a lot. Like I can't even. Is
yeah.
there a Star Wars game coming out right now? Outlaws was the last one. Is there another one on the horizon that I don't know about?
I'm actually not sure.
Like and that's the thing. It's like I'm not saying that there isn't. I just the fact that I don't know means that they're not marketing it very good if there is one.
Yeah, I'm not aware of one. I'm gonna do a quick search.
Yeah, I just think it's crazy. Whereas like,
I
I'm
feel
looking at
like
my
there's
list
got
and
to
it's
be
like
something.
probably half the games on my list came out like within a span of
Oh
like
yeah,
5 years.
I know, right? Okay. So, apparently there are like a few that. Oh my gosh, we absolutely have to play this if this actually comes out because it's so dumb.
What?
Yeah, there's not really. Yeah, there's not that much that like. It's definitely no definitive release dates. But do you remember Star Wars Eclipse? It got like a cinematic trailer, but it's made by Quantic Dream,
Oh yes, I forgot about that
so it could
game.
be like the heavy rain of Star Wars, which means we would absolutely have to play it.
Yes, we need to go like just rent an Airbnb and just play that and just do nothing but play that.
Hopefully, there's at least one at one point you can start yelling Jason's name, just like
Just mod the game. Someone's gonna mod the game so you
because
can.
it was Quantic Dream, right? That made Heavy Rain. That's the
No,
same people,
that's
right?
them. That's them. Yeah, them doing a Star Wars game is just wild. I just hope that at certain
Yeah.
points the face is glitched, so like parts of the skin are missing.
I'd love that.
Oh
Yeah, but
man,
other than that, it looks like Star Wars Zero Company, which I've heard nothing about. Um, I guess it's made by Respawn and is some strategy game or something.
interesting.
Knights of the Old Republic remake, which I heard got shelved.
Yeah,
And then Star Wars Jedi 3, whatever that's going to be.
yeah.
I don't know. I still have not played Survivor.
I still haven't. Well, that's because my PC can't run it. I'm waiting for eventually getting a better computer, or maybe it'll just come out on Switch 2, like I said. And like I'll probably be rebuying games on Switch 2 just because at least it can run most of the games. I just don't
Yeah,
want to spend the money on a new computer right now.
I don't blame you.
But I'll get a new Steam Deck when they come out Steam Deck 2, and then I can play it.
and nobody else says anything about it. Wow, that's so weird because it used to be like it was like death, taxes, and future Star Wars games were all guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Like you knew what the next Star Wars game was going to be.
Well, it's funny because we grew up in a time like during the prequels where it just felt like there was just like this really big hype around all those movies, and there was just so many games being built around them because it was just, and I don't know if it was because of George Lucas and everyone was licensing Star Wars to be able to do whatever they want. Like there was way more studios. Nowadays it's like there's these exclusive rights. Like EA had exclusive rights during that whole sequel trilogy.
What a stupid idea.
Well, I'm sure they made a ton of money, but it was terrible.
I'm sure they did, but yeah, for us, like,
it was terrible for us because yeah, we could have had like triple the amount of games coming out if they just licensed it to other developers. We would have had so many cool games and concepts coming out. But instead, we just don't. I don't remember that many games, and almost like there was no games based on the movies. Like the closest thing you got were some stuff tied into Battlefront, and then there was and then like Lego Star Wars got some stuff that like what there was no Star Wars Episode 7 movie or the game, right? Or anything like that. Whereas we had those games.
Yeah, like I remember back when I have burned the password for the final level of Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones on Game Boy Advance into my brain. I still remember it all these years later, and it pops up as an intrusive thought every now and then. It's just in case anybody has it and wants to play it, it's BCQGNJ. Like you type that in, you go straight to the final boss. I still have it memorized. That is like whenever I think about like all of the useful information I've lost over the years, and then I've retained that little nugget. I am very, very ashamed. But
no, you shouldn't be.
No, but that was a terrible game. That game actually sucked really bad.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that game on another future episode. I think we did manage to cover this episode with just Battlefront.
Pretty much. Yeah. I don't have anything else really to say about any of the other Star Wars multiplayer games aside from Squadrons. I think Squadrons is kind of fun, but you haven't really played it. So
well, I played. Yeah, I didn't play multiplayer. I played some of the campaign and never got to beating it just because at the time there was some other games that I really wanted to play. So I just started it, never finished it. I could always go back, but I just don't play a lot of PC games now, and it's on my PC. So if it's not like just easy to access on my TV with a couple, clicks of the controller, I have a hard time setting it up now.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, there's a lot of games that have multiplayer, but I didn't play multiplayer on those. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll wrap it up there. I think we covered a lot. Battlefront, amazing series of games. I should probably just find a way to just get the Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 1 just so I can go and play them. I don't know if
I mean, I don't know, I might be wrong, but isn't the Asper collection like isn't that both Battlefront 1 and Battlefront 2? Like the most recent re-release, not the EA ones, but the
No, I don't know, but you're probably right. I just knew mostly about Battlefront 2. I think that's the one that most people were hyped about. But yeah. I think I'm
the only one in the world who is like stoked to see Battlefront 1 re-release, maybe because I could actually play it with sound this time.
Yeah, I don't know. Now I'm like kind of look it up on Steam and see like is it both?
I think one of the things I loved about Battlefront 1 in particular and why I'd like to revisit it is like just again being able to go behind enemy lines, because if you had like a group of people doing that was actually really, really fun.
Yeah. Star Wars
Battlefront. So if we could get that working, that'd be good.
So Star Wars Battlefront Classic Collection.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I think, it is both. I'm pretty sure, just based on the cover.
Mm-hmm. Okay, honorable mention. Do you remember there was a mod for Call of Duty Modern Warfare that had a Star Wars skin? Like you could install, it was like a mod. Do you remember this?
Wait, what was it?
Call of Duty Modern Warfare, like the old one.
Yeah.
And there was a mod that would skin everything like Star Wars.
Yeah, that was.
You remember that?
Man, that's uncovering some old memories. Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, that was back before like the EA versions released, and I remember that was like the most exciting thing.
Yeah, because it was like high def, high fidelity at the time, right? Star Wars, which we
Mhm.
hadn't really got yet,
Yeah,
because we never got Star Wars Battlefront 3, which we all thought was going to be on the 360 PS3, and
yeah.
just we never.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
just skipped it. I mean, granted, the PS4, Xbox One versions were phenomenal because again, visually they delivered, but yeah, they just skipped
Mhm.
a whole generation of consoles. So, but well,
All
I think
right.
that's going to do it for me.
Yeah,
It's Thank you everyone for still listening. It
we
must be a
found a
big
way to
Star Wars
fill
fan.
up an hour. I'm
Yeah,
proud.
just background noise for you. So
Yep.
we appreciate it regardless. Uh,
Quality content.
yeah, if you have any thing you want to add to our, just let us know. Put it in the comments. Leave us a like, subscribe. We appreciate it. And this has been the Super Dandori Bros. I'm Leighton. He's Ryan. Talk to you
That's
again
me.
next time. Bye.
Bye.